2025, what is the thing that brings you a ridiculously amazing amount of joy? Like, what's the one thing you're like, man, I can't be without this now?
Are we excluding the family?
Because yes.
Okay. Something.
Wow, look at this guy.
Well,
Quick with that too, man. What a true family man, as you are.
I can see like my wife texting me, like listening to the new podcast.
Yeah.
What brings me joy? All right. So I don't want to be like I love what we're doing right now. I'm going to timestamp this podcast.
Ooh.
I know. So we've been doing this month and a half, 2 months into 2025.
Yep.
And it's been a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful because where we are today are the days that we dreamed about.
Right.
You know?
100%.
So that gets me excited. Like there's something to do every day.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine getting out of bed being like, I'm not sure what to do today.
Right. And not feeling fueled by what is in your mind and what you have the power to be able to execute.
Correct.
I think that's a huge piece to it.
Correct. So that is like the inspiring, ooh, Evan, that's good. The small things. I have been working on my golf swing during winter and I haven't been on the course. I think since September. So I'm excited because if I get out there and I playing the same way I did before, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
because I spent a lot of time, a lot of coaching, developing my swing. So I'm really excited about getting on the golf course and seeing what the hard work.
Yeah,
it is. Aaron, if you're listening, it's hard work. So what was the question? What are you most excited?
Yeah, the thing
that brings you joy.
The thing that I love though about what you just shared is we both have our passions that we're into, and we both practice them in the off season. You're working on your swing, and I spend a fair amount of time either sliding around the snow or being on a digital sim. So I love that.
Well, you got to break that down. Nobody knows what you're talking about. Drifting, you like to, and drifting is it's racing, but you're like.
It's purposely sliding a car through somewhere that you would normally want to be going straight. You'll experience it in a few hours. So the main thing though, it's so interesting, and I love that you said that about like, you put this practice in, and it's in a little bit different environment than actually like, for you being out on the course. For me, it's so funny. Last year, it really messed me up because my sim had a few settings that were off. So when I got in the car, like start of the season, I almost crashed because the wheel did not respond the way that the sim would have. Right. So it was almost like, oh, wait, I have to unlearn this. So it's kind of interesting.
I could die because of this small thing.
And and if my insurance agent is listening, that's not possible actually. Okay. So, the thing that, man, I totally agree with you. A thing that's bringing me an incredible amount of joy right now is as we build up our team within this company, the work that we're getting to do right now is so fun. And, it's almost like, every other day we have someone new in so many capacities reaching out, right? Whether it's a, salon owner, single location, multiple location, a distributor, a manufacturer, right? Like we've been blessed with a lot of really cool opportunities. Next one being is I really, really enjoy, each of the humans that we have, that have come into the brand, and how they serve. And they're just so great. So those are the things I think from like my feeling center. The materialistic part that I've really gone into is I'm a big fan of multiple displays. I love working off.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, it is amazing for workflow. Yeah, and the nonsense that we're in right now. Like I'm looking at 2 iPads showing us what the 3 cameras are taking of us while we're on wireless.
And we're doing it all ourselves.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Watch out, Ren.
All right, let's jump in. All right. So do you get on are you part of any like private groups on Facebook? like salon
I was
owners,
gonna say
stylists.
we gotta tighten that in a little bit. No, yeah, and man, what? Good lord, some of the stuff that gets put in there,
Dude,
I'm like,
it
y'all,
is.
like, it's really clear, like, just one word, therapy.
Yeah, there's a lot that, first off, if you're listening to this and you do need help, don't go to your local Facebook group and type in, "Hey, having this issue," because some of the responses, I usually stay pretty quiet on there, unless I see like, "Hey, this might be a good opportunity for us to work together."
Right.
But most of the time it's like it's a tax question or something. I'm like, "Whew, I don't know if I want to get into all
No,
of that."
legally, no.
So here's one that we found. She says, "Seems lately any new stylist I hire want to stay on hourly wage for months to over a year. Years ago, being on minimum wage used to motivate and encourage new stylists to recruit and retain clients so they could earn more on commission, but not anymore. Being a salon owner, you barely bust even on some of these new stylists that you tried to help grow. They expect me to feed them clientele. When I was growing a clientele 33 years ago, you didn't get paid unless you were hustling and you didn't expect the salon to carry you. What has happened?" All right. So before I send it off to you, what I love how people just think like, "Oh, well, this is happening in my salon." It's just a blanket statement. It's happening everywhere.
Right,
Like it would be different if the mindset was like, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing. What are you guys seeing?"
right.
But it's like she's already believing that this is where I am. This is how it is everywhere.
So I'm gonna go kind of a weird direction with this, but I feel like we need to quit with the stigmas about younger generations. Here's the thing. Like when you generalize, you judge. And when you judge, you miss the opportunity to actually learn the real essence of the human, right? And the reason I say I'm gonna go a weird direction, like I say this all the time, like, did you see the movie Ghostbusters? Did you not learn anything about when he's talking to the slime? Like,
Dude, I don't remember the Ghostbusters.
oh man.
That's 100
Okay,
years
okay,
ago.
okay. Well, there's this slime, and the idea is, and it's in New York, which, like, I don't know, hard city, right? Lot of energy, lot of stimulation. The idea of it though is in the Ghostbusters, it's like if you put negativity at the slime, it reacts negatively. If you speak positively to it, it reacts positively, right? So I think within the framing of this is, let's just zoom back out for a quick second. As the owner, I'm first going to say, hey, you're making a conscious choice to own a salon. You don't have to do what you're doing, right? So if you can't prescribe to that, maybe that's a sign that there could be a career move possibly, to be so bold. But where I go to right away within this is, I think we need to look at our compensation, and also, like, if we're comparing what we're doing today of the old days of the industry, that's a broken mindset. Like, the industry is not the same anymore. Services are not the same. The way that we're doing things is not the same. Cost of living is not the same. And I don't want this to be a plug for stuff that we do, obviously. But my first one to this is scale. Two reasons to it. First one is knowing how much it costs that young human to live in the community they serve, building your pricing so that at your level one, they're able to do that. Now, the newest thing that we've been deploying, we have it within Anagen. Shout out to, and I can't say our most recent apprentices because they are not. We have new apprentices now, but shout out to Abby and Angelina. They came to us about three-quarters of the way through their apprenticeship, and they had just shared, they're like, hey, like, we love it here, but the wage is kind of, it's hard. And I was like, okay, thank you for letting us know. Let's reinvent the wheel here. And what we did was I figured out how to take their hourly pay and have tiered commission so that as they're growing their business behind the chair, they're getting a taste at tier one. So like tier one might be 10%. It doesn't sound like that much, but when you think of it adding to an hourly wage, if I could say, hey, if you're making $13 an hour, would you rather make 16? And you're like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Apply yourself.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I think of is if you have if you're going from floor one to floor two, and there's 6 steps, six
Yep.
large steps, that's going to be much harder to climb
Right.
than if you had 32 steps. It's
Exactly.
easier and it
Exactly.
doesn't look as, um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for?
daunting,
Yes.
intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I love that you did that. That's
So
brilliant.
here's the magic, man. And for those of you out there, if I hope that you have a math degree, the the part that you have to engineer is the tiers of commission. They as you go tiered to going full commission, you have to make sure that you understand your break even point. The break even point is where they go from. So we have three tiers, 12%, 15%, 18% commission on service sales, to be clear. And at 18%, we have the break even point of how much, what their weekly sales need to be. So they know the number that they're hitting for. Because here's what we're doing: we want to compensate you, but also gamify it so that you have these little goals.
Yeah.
Right. So we have the break even point so that, like, they're like, gone are the days in this situation where someone's like, imagine like going to your employer being like, hey, can you check the numbers again? I'm really excited. I think I hit commission. And they're like, oh my Lord, yes. Right. This is why it's so brilliant, because you show them what the break even point is so they know, right? They know the goal they're going after, and they also know at what point they go over to full commission. Because here's the part, like I said earlier, and you shared this about one of the young humans that's working for you. There are brilliant, brilliant young humans out there. The thing is, you have to have the brand, you have to have the systems, you have to have the organization to show them that they have a clear path. If
Yeah.
they see a clear path, like any human, you're going to move forward. If it's this game of like, smoke and mirrors, and it's, convoluted, and it feels like they got to earn the right, like gone are those days. It's different now, right?
Yep.
So I think having in mindset of that. But like I said, within scale, the cost of living analysis is directly included within that process, obviously. And then the tiered commission piece of it is something that I can add on for the business.
Yeah. The person you were talking about that she posted today, her name's Reagan, and she came to us and
Oh, that young human?
yes.
Yeah.
And we interviewed her, we liked her, and so she was only going to be able to work Saturdays because she's in school during the week, and we have someone to cover weekday shifts. So we were like, hey, this is an all-star. Let's get her on the team. We had our Christmas party back in December, and she was like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it because I have a friend coming into town, and we're kind of like bummed that we get it, like we just hired you. Well, she shows up with her friend,
Mm-hmm.
and like
I remember
she
that.
just became like, it was the first time I really spent time with her, and I'm like, she could have been anywhere else, but she's like, you know what? I'm gonna bring my friend to the Christmas party.
Yeah. And am I remembering right? Like they came in like dressed to the nines.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And she posted today that she's like, hey, here's a day in the life of myself. She gets up at like 4:51, I think it was 4:51. She works out. There was this thing on the reel where she was going to get her food that's already been prepped because that's one less thing she has to think about. And I was like, people say, oh, Gen Z this, Gen Z that. They're out there.
100%.
Is your company attracting those?
That's the question.
Is your company attracting the high producer Gen Zs?
That's the question. And it's so interesting, Evan, the way that we work to this place, because I think now when you look at the way that the question was phrased, right, and you look at some of the projections that was in that question, I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the clear growth path, I think the service pricing that you talked to, and the tiered, I think it all comes down to the leadership.
Right.
Like, this is a question I ask myself. And if you're listening to this, are you a leader worth following? And that's a hard one to swallow.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, we're our own worst critics.
Yep.
And so I know my flaws. I know where I mess up. I know where, am I being manipulative in this situation, or am I serving this? It's all in my head.
Right.
And so, are we leaders worth following?
Right.
And the only way to know is to get feedback and ask your team.
100%.
So
100%.
don't be frustrated with Gen Zs out there. Find out who's hiring Gen Zs and figure out what they're doing instead of sitting back and complaining. Because here's the thing, I'm not getting younger.
No.
I'm not getting so as I get older, I've got to stay connected and make sure. And that's the great thing about building a team and building a company
Right.
is you keep hiring younger people and keep getting their feedback, build them up as leaders. Guess who they're going to attract?
Yeah.
The next generation.
Gosh,
And
dude, you're so right. Sorry to cut you off on that,
no,
but
you're good.
I'm gonna try not to have tears come to this one. Ren had surprised me today with a video that was one of our newer experienced artist hires. And what she said within this testimonial, she's like, hey, one of the things that what I heard her say was one of the things that she loves about working here is that Jess and I are approachable. And when she comes with something, she's like, they actually listen and they take action and
It's
they
a
take
big
action
deal.
fast.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I was just doing one-on-ones at a salon, and we'll end with this. And on our one-on-one form in the Refined Network, if you come to the Leaders Retreat, you'll get the one-on-one form.
Bada-bing.
But it says, what are some updates or big ideas for the salon? Like, what can we do to improve? And a girl's like, hey, I think we need some new brooms. And they're about to go into a new space. And they're like, yeah, how many do we need? She was like, 4. And I looked at the salon owner and I was like snapping my fingers. I was like, order it now.
Yeah.
And she got on her computer and ordered it. She's like, hey, I just ordered it. That person felt very valued in that moment.
100%.
So it can cost you some money. People, when you ask for feedback of like, how can we get better? But when that person leaves, they go on, oh my God, what other company is asking their
Right.
employees one-on-one, what can we do to improve and actually do it?
Yeah. And I love that example that you share there, because on the idea of it, I was in a salon on Monday and one of the team in their one-on-one had said, hey, could we organize they do like K-cups or whatever for clients. And she's like, could we organize those in like a cute bowl or something and not in like the box still? And I'm like, gosh,
Simple.
$5 to $7. Like,
yeah.
Right. So yeah, like they might come in with some stuff like, oh, hey, can we get like a $40,000 projector that has this like big image on the wall? We don't know if we can fit that in the budget. However, you'll have some ideas that come through that are in that space of like, the brooms, I'm going to imagine she pulled that off for probably under $100, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bang.
So no longer can you show a chair to a stylist and they're like, oh my God, you're giving me a chair to work in. You have to paint a picture and paint a vision of where they could be 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So thanks for listening to the podcast. If you need anything, reach out to hello@therefinednetwork.com and find us at all social media platforms at The Refined Network. Yeah, The Refined Network. Almost said .com. See ya.